What is up, you sinners and saints, all of my godless peoples? Welcome back to The Rage. I am the Raging Atheist, and if you haven't seen Apostate Alliance, you do not know what you're missing. So please check out this clip from when Ex-Cult Baby was on the show.
And that's pretty much true for all of the meetings. There have been different amounts throughout the years. They've changed sort of how the schedule goes. When I was a kid, there was 3 meetings a week. Now it's 2, I believe.
And are these mandatory?
They're not mandatory in the sense that you will get kicked out or anything for not going.
Mm-hmm.
But
you will get a fair bit of lip, I'm assuming.
Kind of mandatory in the sense that they emphasize it as something that is basically a requirement for Christians to congregate together. You know, there's a scripture about congregating together. So they are expected to, you know, if you're an active Jehovah's Witness, you will be at meetings. It's not necessarily that you're going to get lip for not showing up, but people will call you after the meeting and say, "Oh, I missed you. I hope everything's okay." So they're not going to, like, not notice.
So it's kind of like a self-policing kind of system where everybody's watching everybody.
It is very much a self-policing system. To the point that it's literally like a snitch culture. Like, it's, I mean, most of the time it's just sort of like, I'm looking out for you. I just wanted to make sure everything is okay. But sometimes it's straight up like, if you don't tell on yourself, I will tell on you, depending on what the circumstances are.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody is supposed to very much take an interest in each other and watch out for each other and keep an eye on each other.
Mm. Yeah, we have something similar to that as well. We have this sort of mantra about enjoining all good and forbidding evil. So you constantly police other people and you give them advice. It's just a show-off tactic, in my opinion. But the slightly deeper question would have been, since you were raised in that kind of environment where you were born into this, like you said that you were, you know, preaching while you were still in a stroller, does that make your childhood and looking back on it quite painful? Because myself, I've blacked out a lot of my childhood. I can only remember bits and pieces. And I don't know if that's just my brain's way of shielding all of that from me, or if I've just forgotten, you know?
You know, the funny thing is, as far as things that my brain has blacked out, for the most part, I remember my childhood. I remember things like that. But I've noticed very recently that I do have a blackout, and it's actually during, like, the first 6 months when I left home. I do not remember a lot of the specifics of that. Like, which is, but I think it was mostly, actually not even the first 6 months, just the part after I met my at the time boyfriend, now fiance, Nathan. He was an atheist, and he it wasn't like he was actively trying to deconvert me or anything, not at all. But we did have discussions about beliefs, because I was never afraid growing up to have discussions about my beliefs, because I believed I was right and that there was nothing anybody that could say that was ever going to dissuade me or prove me wrong, because I wasn't wrong. So I was taught to have these discussions with people for the goal of converting them and teaching them about the Bible, not about learning anything myself. But being like I said before, when I was a kid, I had 3 meetings a week. So it's like this constant indoctrination happening. I'm constantly being fed this stuff. When I wasn't constantly surrounded by that, when that being constantly fed this spiritual junk stopped, being asked those questions suddenly got like, oh, maybe I don't know the answer to that, or maybe the answer that I was given doesn't sound quite satisfying anymore. Maybe that doesn't quite add up. And that I don't remember a lot from that time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I kind of just remember being a believer, and then I remember being an atheist. But I legitimately, like, I have a hard time remembering some stuff from that particular time period where I was deconverting. Yeah. So it must have been harder on me emotionally than I realize now, because I've straight up repressed some of it, I think. But
well, I mean, I guess if you wanted to unearth it, that would be down to you, and I don't even know how to do that. I don't even know if that's possible.
Yeah.
But
I don't feel like I really need to. It was a short period. It wasn't traumatic, you know. It was just me. I guess in a way it's traumatic, but not in a way that it's like I need to face this. It's just like I kind of know. I know what happened.
What
happened. It just was hard to deal with, but I know what happened.
Yeah.
But as for my childhood was hard in different ways that mostly didn't have to do with the religion. Like I said before, I was homeschooled.
Right.
And being a Jehovah's Witness, I wasn't really allowed to play with kids that weren't also Jehovah's Witnesses. Right. My parents were very strict about that. I couldn't play with the neighbor kids. I got in trouble one time. I remember I got grounded once because one of the neighbor boys came and was playing in our backyard with us. And when my mom came outside, I hid him in the shed. What I didn't know is that my mom had gone outside to get something from the shed. Oh, so wow. She just opened the shed and was like, Bryce, go home. And he's like, okay. And then she sent me to my room.
What a sitcom episode of your life.
I know. But I was pretty lonely as a kid. Mm. I also had ADHD, which just made it hard for me to socialize, I think, because I hadn't really gotten that under control. And on top of all that, my relationship with girls was really complicated because I did not at the time identify as pansexual, even though that's how I identify now. But now, like, looking back, I was like, oh my God, I had a crush on so many of my friends. I just didn't know I had a crush on my friends, but that made me act so weird. It made me like I remember going into like jealous rage over, because my sister is only a year older than me, so we pretty much shared all of our friends because you know, they were in both of our age range. So
hey, I just want to say real quick, you're on the right channel for rage.
True.